Okay, so hello. I am trying to record this, and Laureen will probably come in at like 4:15 or 4:20 or so. But I just figured I'd start making a video. This is the lab review list, and it is posted under week 13 content. And it's basically, I know the list is pretty all-inclusive, so it seems overwhelming. The lab final is set up like the quizzes. Okay, so there'll be pictures, and I use the pictures from the book. So most of the pictures that you've been seeing in the last bunch of quizzes, I just recycled the pictures and picked different parts or picked the same parts, right? Because some of the parts are really important. There's about 10 questions, between 8 and 10 questions on each topic or each lab. So it ends up, there's about 75 questions, right? So it's kind of crazy, but usually when I do it face-to-face, I do 100. So I guess the more there are, the more you can get wrong. It's a lot of big picture stuff, right? So I'm trying to pick big picture items that you guys should know. So like with the heart, well, you don't have to worry about dissected heart. Okay, so we could cross that out. I have heart pictures. So let's see, I'm gonna open up one of the files I have with the heart pictures. Okay, so hopefully you guys can, it says my screen sharing is paused. Let's see, wonder how I get, maybe I need to do new share. Okay, so there, let's see, share. Okay, so here is a picture of the heart. So it's from your textbook. So all the images that I'm using are from your textbook. So that if that helps. So here's the right atrium, right ventricle, left atrium, left ventricle, in superior vena cava, inferior vena cava, pulmonary arteries, let's see, pulmonary veins. So that's like that picture is in your textbook. It is on page, let's see, is it on, let's see, on page, it is on page 750. So it's chapter 19. It's image 19.7. So there's one image that I use. So make sure you know those parts. Okay, wait, now the window is closed. So let me go to my desktop and find the other images. Okay. This is weird how it looks. Interior heart. So make sure, well, let me try to do screen sharing again. Zoom meeting, share screen, share this screen. Okay, now I think you can see that again. Okay, so here are the interior. So this picture is in your textbook. It's on page 752. So I really tried to pick the big picture stuff for you guys to look at. I don't have a lot of the coronary vessels on there. So like the arteries and the veins that are feeding and draining the heart. I don't have a lot of those on there, but I have kind of big picture stuff again, right? So know the chambers, know the valves, know the tendinous cords, right? And the papillary muscles, aorta, that kind of thing. I did, because I can't ask you everything. So it's kind of like I try to pick the big important things for the main part, for the main thing for this exam, just because there's so many parts, right? So does that make sense? Okay. Okay, all right. This is, then if I go, okay, so we did the heart. I have one picture of the back of the heart that's on there. Let me open that up and share it. It's weird how it shares it. Okay, wait a minute. No, or doesn't share it. Okay, share screen there. Okay, so here's the back, and I only labeled one big coronary vessel on it, right? So there's the, that's the coronary sinus. I think these are hard to pick out on the pictures, so I just picked the big one. So look over that. Let's see. I know, let me try, I'm trying to look at my folder where I have all these pictures. Are you okay with the digestive system? Do you think are you okay with that? Or is there a certain system that you want me to go over and pick stuff out of? I know, right?
I did have trouble with the blood vessel.
The blood vessels, everybody struggles with the blood vessels. That's the hardest. I think that's one of the hardest ones. So let me open up one of those pictures and see if I can, crap, sorry, you didn't hear me say that. I recorded me saying bad words. All right, I have a folder that I put all the pictures in to try to make it straightforward. What in the world? Okay, new folder. I don't have the blood vessel picture there. Okay, let me try to find the blood vessel picture. Blood vessels are always the worst. Blood vessel images. Nope, that's not what I want. Where did I put it? Tag on it. Vessel lat images. Let's see this. Nope. Oh, here, we can use this. Okay. Let me try to share this screen with you. Zoom meeting. Share screen. We pick the right screen. Okay. Share. That's weird. Okay. So this is from the textbook, right? And hold on, let me check my email, make sure she's not emailing. Because usually Laureen is on here about now. Okay, she's not there. Okay, so can you see my screen? Okay, so for the blood vessels, there are so many of them, right? So I did try to pick big ones, right? So make sure you go over the subclavian, which you can't see my pointer. Okay, so the right subclavian, the common carotid, the left subclavian, right? And then under your armpits, axillary. Let's see, it might have brachial, right? No brachial. And then ulnar, remember ulna is gonna go to your pinky and the radius is gonna go to your thumb. Okay, so remember those. If they're red, they're gonna be artery. If they're, here she comes. Hey, Laureen. So if they're red, they're, in this case, if they're red, they're gonna be arteries. If they're blue, they're gonna be veins. I tried to pick, I think I might have, I don't know, there might be close to 10 questions on these, but it's big ones. So it's not any little ones. So like femoral, the iliacs, I don't even think I went down into the bottom of the leg, right? It's the big stuff that I picked out. Hi, Lorene, how are you today?
Good. Sorry, I'm a little late. How are you?
I'm okay. So Kara was here, so I just started going through stuff. So the idea, and I'm recording it just so you know. So for the lab exam, I have it set up so it's like a whole bunch of the quizzes. So I really took the pictures from the quizzes and from the textbook, so they would be consistent. And I have arrows going to them, and then I'm having you label parts. There are so many pieces to this. There's probably like between 8 and 10 questions for each section, right? So maybe 10 questions on heart, 10 questions on blood vessels, and so on. So I think there ends up to be about 70 couple questions for you guys to fill out. Does that make sense? Sorta. So we started going over, and I can post those heart pictures for you guys if you want. The review list is really, is really a lot of stuff on it, because it's huge, it's gigantic. So when you're studying, I would focus on the big picture things, because I'm going to try to pick things that are super important and are obvious. And there will be a couple that are more specific to kind of like separate the A's from the B's, right? But for the most part, they're pretty big things that I ask you to label. I did open up, you should be able to review all the quizzes. Have you tried to look at them? Because Kate, I have another student in micro too, and she said she can't get into them. And I talked to the person that does D2L at HCC, and she got in as a student and she could get in and review them. So you should be able to go into all the old lab quizzes, and you can click on the blue link, it says attempt, and that'll let you see the quizzes. And I think I let you see the right answers too. So you should be able to see what you put, and you can see the right answers. Can you get into them or no? Are you trying, Kara? And it works?
It works. I think the only one that I couldn't, from what I remember, that I couldn't see was the spirometry.
The spirometry?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. You know what? And I don't remember opening that one up. So that's good. Let me make a note. I'll fix it. All right, I'll look for that one, because I don't think I gave you a quiz. Was that more like a worksheet? Or did I give you? I did give you a quiz, because it was talk about tidal volume and all those things. I did give you a quiz on that. Okay, so let me figure out why it's not there. I'll look, but you could get into the other ones.
Again.
Yes.
Okay. I know you have to click on the blue. There's like a blue link that you have to click on. It's not obvious how you review them. Okay, so when you guys look at the blood vessels, right, make sure that you look over. I did big ones. I tried to do big ones, right? So note the main ones in the arm, the radius, the ulna. Make sure you know your sides. So when you're looking at the screen, pretend like you're looking at your patient. So it's going to be the opposite, right? So make sure you know your sides. If red, it's artery. Blue, it's a vein for the most part. I'm pretty sure I used these pictures. So the pictures from the book that were the whole body. That's what I used. I didn't have any of the detailed ones where you would see anything like this. I just used the big picture ones. So pick big stuff, right? Like the femoral or whatever. The femoral, the radial, the ulnar, aorta. I tried to pick big picture stuff because there's just so much information. Okay, so how about like fetal circulation? Are you okay with that?
I think I could use a little brush on that.
Okay,
I
so let
wasn't
me,
entirely sure.
all right, let me try to find a picture or something. I'm trying to find it. Where do I have it? And like, I should probably go through this. Like, you don't have to worry about the dissected heart, right? Because I'm just going to use the picture. You don't worry. I have vessel model on there. You don't have to worry about the vessel model. Shoot, I should have cleaned this up more. And you don't have to worry about the slide. I'm trying to find, where I have stuff written about the fetal circulation. Huh. All right, let me find something to share with you about it. Maybe I have it down here. Yeah, here's fetal. Can you see that screen? Can you see that picture? Okay. So with fetal circulation, and I think in your book, I'm trying to remember where it is in your textbook. Fetal. So in your book, it's on page 837. So there's an image, it's 20.29. And I don't have an image in here, but on the exam, but what I have is the list of the structures. Okay, so what we want to look at, and this is maybe not a very good picture, but here's the idea, is that in the baby, because the mom is doing all the work, there are bypasses because the baby doesn't have to oxygenate its own blood, right? So the mom is doing all the oxygenation and all the waste removal. So there are bypasses built into the fetus that when the baby takes its first breath, then like because of pressure changes, holes close and things like that. Okay, so in the baby, in the fetus, right, there is a hole between the right atrium and the left atrium, and that's called the foramen ovale. Okay, so foramen ovale. So let me see if I can. Wonder if I can write on here. I probably can't. Shoot. And so Foramen, and then oval, oval with the E on the end. So foramen ovale is that hole. Okay, so that's the bypass between the right atrium and the left atrium. So it doesn't even go through, well, what's happening is the blood's going everywhere. So it's going through all of the routes at the same time. So when they say the baby is blue, when the baby's born blue or whatever, that hole doesn't close. So the baby's not oxygenating the blood the way that's supposed to. And usually after a couple breaths and maybe a couple hours, that hole will close off, but sometimes it won't close. So then they'll go in and they'll patch it. Okay, so that's the foramen ovale. There's a bypass of the liver, okay, which is called the ductus venosus because the baby's not detoxifying itself. Okay, then we have umbilical vein and the umbilical arteries. Okay, so the umbilical arteries, there's two of them. Okay, so the umbilical arteries actually look kind of purpley. Okay, so they're not quite blue, but they're not red. Okay, and then the umbilical vein is red, so that messes people up. Okay, but I didn't give you this picture because I didn't give it to you on a quiz, so you don't have to worry about the picture, but umbilical arteries are taking blood to the placenta and umbilical veins are bringing the blood back to the baby heart. So arteries are always taking the blood away and veins are always bringing blood back. So, so those are the big things, right? Those are the big differences. And after birth, they close off normally. Yeah, does that make sense? Oh, the other bypass, so I missed one, sorry. There's also a bypass between the aorta and the pulmonary trunk, and that is called the ductus arteriosus. That's up here. There's a hole up here too. So. But that is, that's in your book. It's on page 837. Although you might have the electronic version. So it's section 20.12. Okay, so there are a couple questions about that. Pretty similar to what was on the quiz, okay? All right, so now let's see. What else? What do you got? What else? So don't worry about dissected heart. You don't have to worry about the vessel model. And I don't know. I don't even think I put any questions about ECG on there. So don't worry about ECG. I skipped it. I shouldn't have skipped it, but I did. Okay, so don't worry about ECG questions. Okay, no basic arteries, basic veins, pathway for fetal circulation. Know those terms for like a matching question. Okay, then for blood, make sure you look at the quiz, right? So I have a couple pictures of leukocytes on there. Do you want me to go over those? Are you guys okay with what they look like? The white blood cells? Yeah, no, maybe.
I think I'm pretty good on those. but
Okay.
That's just me.
All right, so I have a couple questions about those, right? And then I have some questions about hematocrit and blood typing. So, and then blood transfusions. I don't think you guys had any problems, but a lot of the class had problems with blood typing. Do you feel like you're okay with typing and who can get what transfusion? Yeah, you're okay?
Yeah, I think I'm pretty okay with that.
Okay. All right, because I can go over it if you need me to, but I don't think you two had a problem with it, but for other people that might be listening to it, make sure you understand it. Okay, and then urinary system, I used the pictures from the book, right? And oh, I should have crossed this out. I meant to cross this out. Okay, you don't have to worry about the animal, right? I used the pictures that were on the quiz. I need to go in and clean this up for you guys. I used the quiz pictures, right? Are you okay with the urinary anatomy? Yeah. And then some questions about the urinalysis, right? Know what's normal in your urine, what's abnormal, what it could indicate, right? So you guys are probably all right with, are you all right with that? That's pretty straightforward. And then for respiratory anatomy, make sure you know the mid-sagittal head, right? The cut that's halfway through the head. And there's lots of words on here, no big stuff, right? There's too many, there's a lot of words on, like there's so many parts, but I only picked probably about between 8 and 10, right? So it's going to be bigger things rather than nitpicky little things. Okay. So I did try to make it, I tried to make it straightforward. So spirometry, do you want me to go over that? Are you guys okay with tidal volume and all that kind of thing?
I think I'm okay with it as long as like I, refresh the,
yeah, just look
the
over,
chart
make
that's
sure
there.
you know, like the volumes. There's that one graph, that one chart that I always give you. It's that square. Let me try to find it. Oh, respiratory. It's down here. This, can you see my screen now? Can you see this square box?
No.
No. Okay, hold on. Then I'm not, I'm sharing, but I'm not sharing. All right, hold on. Let's stop this. Okay, then share screen. Well, huh. Where is it? This, can you see it now? Yeah, okay. So this box, one time I had a woman that was a respiratory therapist show me how they teach them in RT school. And I was like, oh, this is easier, kind of easier to see, right? So here's total lung capacity. So that's everything that's possible, right? Then when you break it down, these are what we can actually measure, okay? And then we add these together, these volumes together to get the capacities, right? So IRV is inspiratory reserve. So that's the extra air that you can inhale above and beyond a normal breath. Okay, so like that's in case of an emergency, like if you have to lift the car off your kid or something, right? That's this extra air that you could bring in. Okay, tidal volume is the normal air that we breathe in and out. So I always think of it as tides, like waves, right? So it's a small amount. It's like a half a liter. So it's just normal inhale and exhale. Okay, so when you inhale extra, that's the inspiratory reserve, right? And then the extra exhale that you could force out, like if you're blowing out birthday candles, right? That's the expiratory reserve volume. Okay, and then there's a little bit that's left in your lungs. As long as your lungs are inflated and you don't have a sucking chest wound, you have this thing called RV, which is residual volume. So there's always a little bit left in your lungs after you take your first breath when you're born. Does that make sense? And then we start to add those together, and that's when we get these capacities, right? So inspiratory capacity, and then the next thing is vital capacity. Okay, so vital capacity is when we add, this is what you use for every day for staying alive, really, right? So that's vital capacity. So these are the capacities and the volumes. Okay, in that online lab that I had to do, they looked at more, I guess, practical things. So when someone is having respiratory volumes tested, they're doing this forced expiratory volume. So what they're doing is they're looking at how much air someone can blow out in a certain period of time. Okay, and that's how they categorize what kind of disorder somebody has, like how much they can actually blow out. So sometimes people can blow out, it just takes longer, and then other people can't get it out. Okay, so that's like a COPD. So those are the FEV1, FEV2, those kind of things. Yeah, does that kind of make sense? So I think I just have a couple questions about like what the volumes are. And then like a question about COPD that kind of went with the lab, with the exercise that went with the lab. I know there's a lot of information. I'm sorry, you guys. Okay, I'm going to change things. Okay, then digestive anatomy, I have big picture things, right? There's a lot of parts, but I still only have about 10 questions. So pick big picture things to know. There's not a lot of, I didn't give you a lot of detailed stuff. Like I didn't give you all the ducts and everything like that and the sphincters. So no big, like it's pretty obvious what it is. And you don't have to worry about dissection. And then for reproduction, I know there's a lot of parts here, but I picked very obvious things, right? So, because I didn't give you a quiz on this, so it's pretty obvious. Let me try to find the pictures that I used. Let me go to my desktop. Let's see if I can do this without, okay, now my screen sharing paused. That's weird. Okay, so hold on. Okay, so
You said we won't have to know about like the microscopic
no,
slides.
I don't have any. If it wasn't on the quiz, you're not gonna have it. So,
Okay.
so I really tried to be gentle. Okay, but you still have to write the words. So I don't know that that's gentle, right? So you still have to know the stuff, but okay, so here's female, right? And this is the picture from the textbook. So make sure like uterus, uterus, bladder, right? Vagina, the labia, majora and minora, urethra, right? Rectum. It's pretty limited, pretty straightforward what I asked you, right? And then I have, oh shoot, as the shared window is closed. Okay, let me open another window here. Okay, here's, now can you see this or no, you can't see it? I don't understand how this works. This is so weird. Okay, but now you can see it, right? Okay, so here's the uterus, right? I didn't spend a lot, I don't know that I spent a lot of time making you guys learn all the ligaments, but so I didn't label a lot of them. Like this is the broad ligament. Okay, here's round ligament. Okay, make sure you know ovaries, right? The fallopian tubes or the uterine tubes, uterus, cervix. Okay, then the layers, they go the endometrium is the inner layer, right? So that's what sloughs off when you have your period. Okay, the myometrium is the muscle layer, and then there's the external layer. But the myometrium is really, really big in the uterus. So that's kind of important. It's cool because it's what contracts, right? I really went big, big, big picture. Okay. Then I
How
don't think I
does-
have
Sorry.
any histology, so you don't have any slides that you have to worry about except for the blood cells. Okay, so there, I'm going to close this. And then I have the male. Shoot, male. This is so weird. I don't understand how it decides what's going to share. Okay, so if I go here, then I go here. All right, so you can see it, right? So if you look at the male reproductive system, right, testes, then we have the epididymis, and then the ductus deferens, seminal vesicles, right? That's the prostate gland. Okay, urethra. The spongy tissue, right? So we have corpus spongiosum and corpus cavernosa. And that's like pretty much it. I didn't make you go through and do a cross section of the testes or anything like that. I know it gets so crazy because there's just so many parts, right? I don't want to torture you with like, so there's about, I think I have about 70 something questions when I went through and looked at it. I started out with 60 and then I realized I didn't have any reproduction stuff on it. So I put a little bit more, added some reproduction pictures.
How does the scoring work? Like if we misspell a word, is it automatically like a no point, or do we get any
No,
kind of
I'm
point
gonna
for
give,
being?
the way I do it is if it's just one letter or something, I'm usually don't penalize you. If it's spelled wrong and I can tell what it is, I take off a fourth a point, so 0.25. But if it's something like somebody just goes in and they know the first letter and they make up a word, then that gets marked wrong, right? Which that happens.
I'm sure.
Yeah,
Just
right.
winging
So
it.
then it gets marked wrong. But the way that it'll grade it, because when I have to set it up to do with the auto grading at the beginning, it's not, if it's spelled wrong, it'll not mark it right. So I have to go back in and fix those. So if it's spelled wrong and it marks it wrong, don't panic, because I'll go in and give you credit for like it's really close. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Okay, so when it auto corrects, it's just going to mark it wrong from what I've typed in. And hopefully I typed in everything wrong, right? So, but sometimes I get like an E and an I messed up and then I'm like, oh no, everybody got it wrong. Why did everybody get it wrong? They should know that part, it's obvious. And I typed it in there wrong. So, or I looked at the wrong arrow when I put the answer key in, which has happened too, right? So I'll go through and hand check it after everybody's done. Does that help?
Yeah, it does a lot.
Okay, so I open up the quizzes. You should definitely be able to see those quizzes. So I would review those. And if you go back over them and you see something that it doesn't make any sense, send me an email so I can fix it, or I can figure out what's going on or try to help you somehow. I tried to keep it straightforward, but still be close. I'd rather have labs face to face. So this is hard for me to do the lab online, right? So I'm trying to keep it as true to the face to face stuff, right? Because I want you to know the parts, but be fair. So yeah, how do you, well, we don't have to record this part, but so does that kind of make, what other questions? Do you have other questions?
Yeah, I just have a quick one, just to
Okay.
verify. I was going through the blood typing thing again,
Yeah,
and it said like if a person were type B negative, what 2 types could they get?
yeah,
What is the answer to that? Because
yeah.
looks like I got
So
half.
if you're negative, okay, you can't take something that you don't have.
Mhm.
So if somebody is B negative, that means they don't have RH. So
Correct.
they can only take negatives. Okay, so they could take B negative and they could take O negative. Okay, so O is naked, doesn't have any antigens on it. So pretty much anybody, O negative is a universal donor. So anybody can have take O negative. So it would go to anybody, but if you're B negative, you could take B negative and O negative. So let's say you're A positive. Okay, so there would be 4 types that you could take. Okay, so if you're A positive, let me open up a screen so I can write. Maybe, let me try to, I can't remember how to do it. I did it last time, right? I wrote, okay, annotate. Let me try to, okay, so let's do this. Insert. Insert new slide. Okay, then annotate, draw. Can you see like an empty PowerPoint slide? No.
No.
Okay, so let me go here. Okay. All right, let's go screen sharing, stop share. Okay, then if I go Zoom, okay. Share screen, this screen, share. Now do you see an empty slide? Okay. All right, so now if I try to write on it, okay, so if you're A positive. Okay, that would mean, okay, so that's not a, so that's beautiful. there's a blood cell. Okay, so they would have A antigens on it, right? And they're gonna have RH on it too. Okay, so they can't take something that they don't have. Okay, so basically they can take themselves, right? So they could take A positive. Okay, so they would take something that looked just like this. Okay, they could take A negative. Okay, because they would be able to take an A. Okay, but this person doesn't have any RHs on there. So it would be fine. They wouldn't have a reaction to it. It would be fine, work. Okay, they could take O positive. Okay, because the O doesn't have any A's or anything on it. It just has RHs on it. Okay, so it'd be fine. Okay, and then the O negative, that's beautiful. The O negative is just totally doesn't have any of those antigens on it. So that can go to that person too. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, it does. I think I overlooked the question and didn't think about putting the actual B negative in it.
Okay,
So I guess the person could not receive AB because they don't have the A antigen if
right,
it was asking for
right.
negative.
So if you gave them, AB, right, the AB blood would have A and B on it. And in their body, they're gonna actually, it's kind of crazy, but our immune system makes antibodies. If we don't have B, we develop these antibodies to B. So our immune system will attack the blood and start lysing it, right? So it'll kill them. So their body will start attacking the blood cells if you give them the wrong type, right? So our body, they can't take something that they don't have. So they would respond, have an immune response to that B antigen on there, and it would lyse the cells and they would die. Yeah. How about, let's do another one. Let me try to erase. So what if somebody, what if someone was, wait, draw, okay. I know I'm trying to think of a good one, which we've already kind of gone over them. What if they were A, B, and negative? What could they take? So if you look at their blood cell, right, they would be A, and they would have B, okay, but they wouldn't have RH on it. So they can't take a positive. Okay, so no positives because they're negative. Okay, but what else could they take?
O negative.
They could take O negative, right? They can take themselves, right? So they can take AB negative, and they could take A negative, and they could take B negative. So they could take all those. So AB positive, they're considered the universal recipient. So they could take anything, right? They could take all of these and all the positives for this. So O negative can go to anybody. So if you're O negative and you've donated blood, the Red Cross is always sending you a postcard trying to get you to donate because it can go to anybody. But this is the universal donor or universal recipient rather, sorry. They can take anything. Yeah. I know. Do you want me to go through and take this review list and cross out the stuff that you don't need to know and post it again? Would that
I
help?
think that would be helpful. Yeah.
Okay.
I did mark some of the things that you mentioned.
Okay,
off.
I'll go through, after we get off of here, I'll go through it and clean it up and repost it So because I deleted some things, but I didn't delete enough. So no wonder, yeah. Like the cat, I thought I deleted all the cat stuff, but I didn't. And we don't do the cat, right? What else? Is there anything else you can think of?
Uh,
Oh, go ahead.
we have to know the hepatic portal circulation at all?
What about, do you want me to, I'm trying to think if I have anything. That was ugly. I don't think I put any questions on it about hepatic portal.
Okay. 'Cause I was a little confused about it, but
Do you want me to go over it with you? I don't think I put any questions about it on there. So the idea behind the hepatic portal, let me open something up here. That's not, I don't know if I have a good picture of it. Oh, I'd rather draw, I have a way to draw it. Okay, so the idea behind the hepatic portal, okay, is that, so, and let me find my picture. So there's 5, let me look so I don't mess it up. I kept my micro today, everything I said was backwards, so. But I think that was so ugly that I didn't put any questions on there about it. Hepatic portal. Huh, where is it at even in the book? That's weird. 'Cause it's saying, it is saying, huh. All right, so here's the idea. Okay, we're gonna take, let me try to write. Okay, so blood from the digestive organs. Okay, so no, I usually have I have this picture that I always draw and I can't find it. So it's going to be, so the GI tract, right? The spleen and the pancreas. Okay, so what happens is the blood from these, okay, so like from your small intestines and your large intestines, okay, we don't want the blood from these guys going straight back into normal circulation. Okay, so because it's not going to, it could have bacteria or toxins in it. Okay, so we don't want to dump it right back into your vena cava. Okay, we don't, because it could be bad. So we want it to go to the liver. And the way that we take it to the liver is that all of these organs dump into the hepatic portal vein. Okay, so the portal vein, I always think of it as, if it's a port, a whole bunch of ships are coming into it, right? So all of these blood vessels that are draining these organs, they have to get the blood to the liver so that it can be detoxified and purified before we put it back into normal circulation, right? So it goes from the digestive organs, right, through the hepatic portal vein, and then to the liver. Okay, and then once it gets in the liver, it's going to get filtered. Okay, so it goes through this hepatic, the sinusoids clean it out. So the sinusoids are these modified blood vessels, and there's lots of white blood cells in there. So they're going to clean it up, make sure there's no bacteria, that you don't go septic because something slips through your digestive tract and into your blood. Okay, so then from there, it dumps into the hepatic vein. Okay, and then from the hepatic vein, then it'll dump back into the inferior vena cava. But the whole idea is that we want to clean up the blood before we let it go back into circulation, and that it's going around to the rest of your body. And the way that it does is it goes into this hepatic portal vein. So it goes into a port. So there's two veins that go one from another. And usually that doesn't happen, right? Usually we go from artery to vein. So this is kind of a unique situation because we're going from vein to vein, right? So it's not getting any oxygen, it's just being cleaned up. So normally we don't go vein to vein. I know, and now that I'm looking at this stuff in the book, it makes it look confusing. And then exam 4, when you guys go to do exam 4, it's going to be open book, right? So you guys can just do whatever for the exam 4, which is on immune, lymph, and reproduction. And then we have to do a cumulative final. So I'll need to make you guys a study guide for that. I didn't make that test. It's a test that all the teachers give, but it is only on this semester. In the past, when we used to do it for 104, you'd have 103. We used to call it 104, right? So, but now it's 203 and 204. Okay, but in the past, we used to give a whole year's worth of material on that final, but they told me they don't do that anymore. So it's just gonna be one semester. And I will look at that test and make you guys a study guide so that you can prepare for it. Does that make sense? And I'll also curve it because I didn't make it. So I don't know what to expect exactly. Sometimes people, when they make it, the questions that they pick might not be like what I would pick, or the wording might be a little bit different. So I'll curve it. Those are usually hard, I think. So just the main thing is just be common, use like common reasoning to what you guys know to answer the questions, and trust that I'm gonna have to curve it. Probably, usually it's a pretty significant amount of points that I have to give. Does that, I know.
So
used to give-
the exam 4, that'll be due like the 13th, 14th, or do you know?
I know, did I tell you guys when I was gonna do it?
It's just listed in the outline for 12/6, but
Okay. So if I open it, okay, so everything has to be done by the 19th. So if I can open exam 4. Shoot, I got the calendar. So I want to give you time to do the lab one. So what if I'll open it next week and give you guys like 5 days or something to do it? Does that work? If I open it next week and then the next week we do the final?
yeah, that'd be fine.
Okay. All right. So 4 should be a piece of cake, right? Or, well, it'll just take time, right? Because it's open book, which I've had people, it won't be you guys, but I've had people like wait too long and then they don't have time to do it. So you two won't wait, but, so you just have to take time to do it. And if you take time to do it, it's fine, right? Because it's open book. The only time people get into trouble is they don't give themselves enough time to do the test. And then I'll make a study guide for the cumulative final. And then we'll be done. We'll be in good shape. Kind of crazy.
Yeah, it is. Are they timed?
No, no, because usually I don't ever, that's what I need to think. I've been timing the ones I've been giving you, haven't I? I won't time the open book one for sure. I won't time it. I'll have to see what they do for the cumulative. I'll have to ask them. Usually it's 2 hours. So it should be fine. And I don't know how many questions are on it or anything. So I have to find out. Up until I think this semester, we always gave this, it was a national test. And it was by this organization, the Human Anatomy and Physiology Society. So it was this big national test. And I haven't taught this class in 2 years. And since that time, they changed it. They modified it. They decided this was probably cruel and unusual punishment. So they quit doing it. So let me figure out that, let me get my hands on it and figure out what's on it and how many questions there are and what you guys need to focus on when you study. And I don't think there's not, usually when I put a time limit on it is mainly because if I give people too much time, they start to cheat. So I'll figure out what everybody else is doing and go from there, what's expected if I have to give a time limit. But like 2 hours for a final is usually what we give.
I appreciate all that information.
Yeah, does that help?
It does.
It's just weird because I don't see y'all. So I try to type it in announcements and then I'm like, I hope it made sense and I hope they read them. Right? All right, well, if you guys are okay, then I'll stop it and then I'll get it uploaded and post it. And I'll fix that study guide for lab. And then do you want to do this again next week? I
think that would be helpful.
Okay.
Would it be for the cumulative final?
Yeah, we could do it for to get you ready for the cumulative, or if you have any questions for exam 4 too, we could do both or whatever.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah.
Is Thursday better or what?
Either day.
Okay.
Because we're done, right? We don't have any more lecture assignments. Yeah,
Right.
so any day is really good for me now.
Okay. Kara, do you care?
No.
Okay.
As long as it's not during the weekend, because I work during the weekend. But...
Okay. All right. Right. And I try not to work during the weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I know I'm trying to think what classes I have. Do you want to do it like Tuesday? Do you want to try Tuesday at 4? Or 4:15 or whatever? Okay.
Yeah.
Or Monday's fine too.
Yeah, that's fine with me.
Tuesday or Monday?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. So let's try Tuesday.
Okay.
And I'll set up the Zoom thing again. And then we'll go from there. But if you guys have any questions, just send me an email. And I'll get back to you. Okay.
Alrighty. Well, thank you very much for your time.
Okay. Yep. Have a good evening.
Thank you so much.
Yep. Bye.
Bye.